Hello, I'm ZvZ, and I'm going to be bringing you a Zerg versus Zerg on Overgrowth LE. I'm picking this game to cast and commentate for you, just because it's one of the most epic games I've played in quite a while. And the reason behind that being is mostly because I'm so inexperienced in Zerg versus Zerg, this ends up being quite crazy, so... Or maybe it's just a normal game, I don't even know, I play Zerg versus Zerg that little, but you'll see how it goes. So I'm over in the bottom left, making this official with the name tags. I'm against men's. Obviously men's is the plural of men. He's on the team Strange TES. I'm familiar, so I'll now give play-by-play analysis, I guess. So he's definitely going for a 10 pull because he's got exactly 10 drones. Oh wait, there's an overlord going in. Overlord for me as well. This is a perfectly standard opening from both players. My inexperience in Zerg vs Zerg really does shine through in this game. I just have to... I'll probably be talking about that quite a few times. And it does end up being quite crazy, so... I like it a lot. That's why I'm bringing it to you here. He goes for a drone scout, something which I don't think I've ever done. I just scout the overlords. And try and assume what my opponent's doing from what I see, which is really a terrible thing to do. But it is the greedy Zerg way to do that. I'm going for a 14 spawning pool because what I intend to do is go for many a humble queen and go for a very defensive opening and then go for a strong mid game, hopefully not sustaining much damage and being able to play quite greedy due to that nice defense provided by the queens. So he sees everything which is going on. I don't know if he's smart enough to realise that I'm going to have to go for sort of a defensive play here. Surely he is. Like, if I've gone for no gas, what am I going to do? Like Slowling flood? Nah. He's already got his gas coming in. So this usually means speedlings for him. You could get gas early for a Roach push, but if you haven't taken a base already, that's one base Roach is just straight up bad, really. So looks like speedlings for him. That's probably a speedling expand. And here comes in that expansion, nicely timed. How many on drones? I would usually take the guys off gas before I took that expansion, just keeping them in there. So this might be banelings. Nope. Okay. His build's slightly more, this time that's slightly differently to the way mine does. Whether or not it's better or worse is something for a question for another person. He's left one guy in gas, so maybe he is planning to go for banelings after all. He needs a little bit more gas. When he isn't 16 on minerals, so he might as well have that drone on the minerals, to be honest. I'm not sure how much I like that, but never mind, that's his choice. Sure, he's a smart fellow. So I've gone up to 19, that's too many unfortunately, but I just need to make as many drones as humanly possible because I'm going to be saturating this as fast as possible, and then trying to get some defences up. This isn't actually a particularly good map for this build because the ramp is quite wide, but it does have the advantage of the ramp of this the choke being quite wide, but it does have the advantage of the choke being quite close to the hatchery, so that the creep spreads up there quite fast. Whereas other maps, merry-go-round for example, that was absolutely dreadful for this build, and I think I've tried it on that map before, and then I didn't do too well. You'd be surprised to find out. So now I'm in the defensive stage. I've droned quite a lot, so if we look at our units, I'm quite substantially ahead in drones. That's quite silly, in fact. I've gone for double spine crawler in both in mineral field, which seems a bit silly because I haven't even seen any aggression coming because I haven't been scouting very well. But they do have a purpose because I'm going to be using these spines to help defend this area later. So they have a dual purpose, giving me a little bit of security for now and later. And here comes a Ling flood. I have 4 queens at this point. And the spine crawler helping out. Probably could retreat a little bit. There we go. Get that spine crawler in on the action. Trying to use the drones as best I can. I'm losing queens, which isn't good, but as long as I have 2 remaining at the end of this, I should be in absolutely fine shape, because I'm going to have just as many injects as I would otherwise. If we look at our units tab here, he's now caught up. We're now fairly even, but I do have the advantage of absolutely nothing because he's got 2 queens as well. I have added some drones on. Fairly even. Interesting. I didn't realise it was so incredibly even at the end of that. He makes a big wave of drones at this point. So now he's suddenly ahead. I like the way ZvZ works out. Just sudden changes in economy. I'm going to be droning a bit more, aren't I? I'll be droning until these saturated. These are saturated, so I'm really interested in the way this works out. Still on 2 gas. He's only now just taking a second gas. I'm still on no gas at 7 minutes into the game, so that's interesting enough. Which is going to give him a huge lead on that layer. That's what he's been doing with the extra gas from that drone. Interesting stuff. Spine crawler from him in case I do go for a counter push, I guess, and defensive banelings. But absolutely not, I'm not doing anything like that. As you could probably gather from this all-off setup I've got here. And all these queens. I'm still at 4 queens, it's really cool. It's really cool. Now I've continued to keep up in drones. Adding on all 4 of my gases at the same time. Suddenly ahead in gas income, out of nowhere. It's a really back and forth game. Even though there's not so much aggression. Who's ahead in economy is switching quite a lot. I like it a lot. I'm ahead in drones now, interesting! I'd like to give some more meaningful analysis, but this is just quite cool actually. I spy coming from my opponent. So he intends to use all this gas that he's mining to go for mobility in this game, whereas I, as quite clearly seen by him, I'm going for Roaches. I intend to do some big push out, and what I usually do is I go for a big push out and use that as cover for me to set up a third. Going for a spore here, and a spore here. I'm not sure how I knew that he was going for the Mutas. I think those were just preemptive sort of things, which isn't a good thing to do. I think I might have. Let me have a look at this. Let me have a look at this vision. Yeah, I did poke in, but then saw the queen and ran out. Oh, I remember what I did. I know what I did. I poked in and saw that the lair was quite early, so I'm thinking that might be Musalisk, so that's why I went for that. But then equally, it could be Roaches. It could be for the Roach speed. So yeah, just a very convenient assumption from me there. Still fairly even in drone count. I'm going for speed, double upgrades. So lots of Roach upgrades. Consistent with me going for Roaches. Slowlings, speedlings. And he's quite a bit ahead on his expansion, as you should be if you're going for Musalisks, because it's a lot easier to take expansions in with Musalisks. I don't really have any way of putting pressure on him at the moment with the small Roach count I have, but I can soon reach a critical mass which can quickly snipe bases, so I can run across and sacrifice my Roaches and do a lot of damage. Lots of Lings coming out from him. A few Musalisks. How many is he at the moment? 10 Musalisks. Okay, so he can start putting some hurt on me now. Unfortunately for him, even though I haven't scouted him, I have some spores, so my drones aren't going to take too much damage from this. Spores are absolutely ridiculous against Musalisks, so very difficult for them to get anything done where there's just a couple of them. 45 a shot is just, it's really quite excessive. Even mass amounts of Musalisks struggle to take out a single spore without taking losses. And the spore cost a lot less than the Musalisks, so yeah, very good. I see the push from the Zerglings and the Musas coming across, and I immediately go for a counter attack. I know that he's going to be denying my base, so I'm going to try and deny his, so I don't fall too far behind in economy. Because I risk losing every single one of these Roaches. Split off a couple to kill off those banelings, which is nice. And I finished off that base. And I'm going to run out, probably going to try and kill some more units. Looks like I'm losing all of these for absolutely free apart from the hatch, but I have killed quite a few Zerglings so far. But I fear the unit's loss is going to be in my opponent's favour. Absolutely it is. But it looked like that was an absolute disaster for me, but it's really important me keeping his base count down, because I don't want him having considerably higher economy than me, which is what you get from that third base. Musas and Zerglings aren't the most cost efficient of units, so if I keep our incomes equal, that's going to be a nice situation for me. Adding on lots of spores, because I need places to retreat back to with my Roaches now. And when the Mutas count gets too out of control, he can start sniping my spores if I have I have too many. If I have too little. Accidentally exploding banelings on my tumors there, which is cool. I'm quite happy about that. Sitting on quite a few per base. 3 spores per base. I don't think that's an overreaction, really, to be fair. My limiting factor here is gas at the moment because I don't have a third. So I've quite a few minerals to play with, which I can't sink into Zerglings because I'm not the Ling Muta player. I could make Zerglings, but it wouldn't be too effective considering I'm not even upgrading Zerglings. Now work on the Hydra this thing because I need some way of combating the Musalisks. Infestors, Hydras are all fairly good choices. Going for speed upgrade for the Hydras is incredibly important. Because I need some way to help against the mobility of this army I'm up against. I'm not sure why he's trading the Zerglings away because they're not going to really do anything, and the Musa is going to heal and the Roaches are going to heal. Sorry, I meant the Roaches. So, continuously trying to shut down my creep tuners with the Overseer, which is a really good idea. But probably committing a bit too much of these Hydralisks into the spores. Committing too much from me here. Just because Hydralisks are in theory good against Musalisks doesn't mean a small number of Musalisks can beat a large number of Musalisks die to a small number of Musalisks. Going up to 4 bases now, so 2 bases ahead. That's the sort of situation when it becomes very difficult to lose as the Musalisking player, just for sheer numbers of units. Going for Zerglings at my natural. Musalisks in my main base. This is becoming quite difficult to defend, and I'm losing a lot of Hydralisks in a non-cost efficient manner here. And I really want to be doing something about this 4th base. I do see it thanks to the scouting overlords, patrolling very slowly back and forth. But I know that, as I said earlier, that if I let him have that 4th base and it gets saturated, then the number of units that he can start to produce, my opponent, means that no matter what I build, even hard counters, it becomes very difficult to win. And I'm just retreating back as much as I can. Good thing I have all these spores ready and these Hydralisks rallied underneath the spores. It gives my Roaches a safe haven to live. Spores being absolutely insane. They tend to pay for themselves. I made a little stash of spore corridors here so I can move them to my 3rd when it's done. Trying to spread creep where I can. My APM isn't as high as it could be, so I'm not spreading those as much. But it's all in vain anyway because they're all getting cleaned up quite excellently by my opponent here. And I go for another counterattack, so tried to find an opening where he didn't see my Roaches. It didn't really work, but I'm going to send these Roaches to their deaths to deny his bases. These aren't cost-efficient trades in any way, but I really need to cut down, especially his gas. He's mining a lot of gas from these bases, so well, we will be soon. So I need to be shutting these down so that I can stay ahead. The Lings from the minerals aren't really as much of a threat as the Musalisks here, so I'm going to have to be very responsible in shutting these down, and I have been. It's really nice. My opponent here hasn't actually been upgrading very well. Only +1 on the Musalisks, and I think 0-0 on his ground units, whereas I'm at 2-2. It's looking really good for me in the upgrades front, but he's trading so efficiently here. Fortunately losing those bases, of course. If we look at the units lost tab, it's surprisingly evening up. I think that's mainly because of the trades that he's been making against the Spore Crawlers and trading away too many Zerglings for not much of a gain. Other than that, I would have expected him to be ahead at this point, unfortunately. Yeah, he hasn't been too wise of his units. Got quite a lot of Musalisks now, though. Even though he's been losing a few to Spores, he's now sitting on 35, which is a really large number, of course. Even a lot of Hydralisks like I have here will struggle against that, but I do have an insane number of Hydralisks. How many of this? 32, okay, 34 Hydralisks now, okay, that's not going to struggle against that many Musalisks. The only problem I have here is that light ground units do struggle against Banelings a little bit, and he has more than enough potential to make Banelings. Hasn't really been upgrading them though, so that's not too good. A good trade here, it can really go either way at this point. banelings have good connections, I'm gonna really struggle in this fight. Otherwise the Hydras are gonna have absolutely no problem dealing with the Musalisks. It looks so good for me here. Oh, but the banelings are crashing in. A little bit of a split here, tiny bit of a split. Nice arc from me, moving them back, and that worked out really nicely in the end. A lot of Musalisks going down. The unit loss is going to be favouring me a lot now. That's really good. Yep. Looked like I'd almost lost at varying points in this game, but Hydralisk proving to be absolutely invaluable. Does he have? He's trying to shut down his base, but I don't think that'll work. Too many Hydralisks here. Quite fast with the upgrade as well. They have range? Not yet have. They don't yet have range, but I guess that's not quite as important as the speed upgrade. Does he have centrifugal hooks? Really does want those centrifugal hooks. With the speed on Hydralisks, it makes it very difficult for the banelings to make connections, as you saw back there. Centrifugal hooks would have made a huge difference. Now setting into my third. This spell's really quite a disaster for my opponent. He's sitting on 3 bases himself. Should be thinking about saturating that 4th, but my army is a lot more cost efficient than his. Centrifugal hooks, great choice, great choice. Range for me as well, great choice, great choice. Now working on a lair, that's going to allow me to get double upgrades with these overloading chambers and go up to 3-3. He still hasn't done any upgrades. This is really bad. Not too bad for the banelings because they do so much damage anyway, but the zerglings, they don't do very much damage at all without upgrades. And with 3 armor, that's going to be reducing most of the damage that these zerglings are dealing. If we get one which isn't a baneling, they deal 5 damage. If I have 3 upgrade, that's more than halving the damage that are being dealt to my Hydralisks. Hydralisks shouldn't even really be very good against zerglings and straight up engagements, but they're going to be with such a big upgrade lead. And the reason I have such a good upgrade lead is I've been turtling on 2 bases quite a bit here in this game, and it is some way to come back in the game later, so I made sure I invested in those upgrades while I was sitting back, unable to move out onto the map very much, except for those big Roach attacks, which were not cost efficient, but required. Going for a few Roaches here, so that's going to help me deal with those banelings, but Infestor's going to be much more helpful here as well. I'd really like to be putting some gas into Infestors, which is going to be possible fairly soon, as the income from that 3rd base kicks in. Now centrifugal hooks, this is quite a scary army. That's a lot of banelings as well. If you look at that's 23 banelings, that's going to munch through my Hydralisks. Luckily, Roaches, it all comes down to the engagement here. Can the Roaches fend off the banelings? I'm going to be shaking myself here. Try to micro back. Do a little bit of a split. He rolls on in. Not hitting many at all. The Spore putting in a lot of work. Most of those banelings detonated on Roaches, unfortunately for him. Units loss is going to be favouring me even more at this point. He's trying to trade as best as he can, but he just didn't deal with the Hydralisk problem. I have my lair now. I haven't worked on 3-3. Now I'm starting the 3-3, and that's going to spell disaster from my opponent here. I've got spores all over the place. Look, they're just that's really cool. I forgot I did that. So basically, I have spores like in a little leapfrogging way forward. Like, look at all these spores. I would like a spore here as well. Like, there's no even rallies. Hydralisks become very difficult to pick off when there's that many spores around. This is a really devastating push coming here. It's a lot of Roaches and Hydras. How many Roaches? 24 Roaches, 17 Hydras against Lings, which aren't upgraded, and 21 Musalisks. It's really struggle. It's going to be a real struggle for him to fend off here. Trying to trade as best he can, trying to pick off isolated units, but they're all clumped up for me here. Bane is rolling on in, but he's not getting the engagements. He killed off a few Hydralisks. Might have been worth it. However, he hasn't been able to clear up these Roaches in time. So I'm going to be able to shut down these bases again. Going to cut into his gas income, which he needs for the Musalisks. He did manage to kill off enough Hydralisks with the help of his Musalisks. So my Hydralisk has to retreat. Meaning my attack will eventually end. It did look like I was about to win in that fight, but no. Not enough Hydralisks there. 3-3 coming in now. This is really dangerous for my opponent here, and he really should be upgrading. Maybe just forgot or something. I don't know. Maybe he's just kept putting it off and never got around to upgrading. That's really a real pain. The upgrades are really nice though. The Mutas still a hell of a lot of damage to their glaive as well. It looks like it's just +2, but no. Just +2 damage, but no, it's actually +6 damage because they're all going to be bouncing and hitting other units. It's a bit crazy. Oh my goodness, he's wasting so many Mutas here. Going to be trying to knock down that Roach for him. That's not too much of a problem for me because I'm happy just making Hydra at this point. Making a couple Roaches is nice, but I already have that many Roaches, just a few Roaches to help clean up Banelings, so I'm not too concerned. Denying that the upgrade from me is going to be really good for him, but unfortunately, nope. Taking some good fights, this guy. Absolutely good fights. I was fairly sure I could win that fight there, but unfortunately I didn't have quite enough, and the DPS on the Musalisks paid off for him. The upgrade's really good, working really well. Falling back to the Spore. Try and help protect my my Hydras here. 3-3 is now done. The damage output on the Hydras is going to be really insane. That's 15, an incredible 15 damage a shot at an extremely high attack speed. Needs to really stop misrallying. Oh my god. Got 2 spores at this third, so it's hard for the Musas to move in. He's going to need a lot of Zerglings. Fortunately, they're all unupgraded, so they're going to struggle to kill off even the smallest of things. Queens actually benefit from the range upgrade, so they're really damn tanky against the Zerglings. All those Zerglings couldn't even take out a Queen. And I think he's worried at this point. Adding on some extra spores. These spores... No, I moved those spores from the back of my base to my third. If you look at units count, fairly even at the moment. But he's on that 4th base. Gas income's going to be favouring him, he really needs that. Try get a fungal growth off here. Made a few infests. It's really important at this point because he has a big advantage in all of his units, he has a big advantage in that his units can clump up and attack all at the same time, whereas my Hydralisks struggle to attack all at the same time. They do have quite a good range though. He's going to be really good defensively, these infestors, which will allow me to sit on 3 bases, macro up with my more cost efficient army, and then push out and kill him hopefully. Osmosis coming in on a flock, But the army sizes that he's been playing with haven't really been enough to get anything done, really. Going for a 5th base now. Probably better use of his time to deny my 4th. But I don't think he's seen that, no. Lack of scouting from here, unfortunately. Wasting Musalisks. He's wasted 2 Musalisks to kill 2 spores. That really wasn't cost efficient at all. I don't know why he's doing this. If I were him... Oh no, this is the cost. He's seen the infestors. Yeah, he was still trying to make these sort of surgical strikes, which is so risky. Ow, units lost. Evening up somehow. I don't know how that's working out, but still. He's just not... Oh no. How many? 3, 4, 5? I think that was 4 or 5 mooses killed to kill off a spawning pool. Scouting really his disadvantage in this game. If he saw this 4th, he'd be spending those mooses to do something more useful. Adding on 3 more infestors. I usually don't like making too many infestors because once you've used the fungal growths, not too useful anymore. So they just want a couple in that army to pin the mooses in place. Do have the advantage, the disadvantage though that the infestors that I did make just then used up all their energy, and it's going to take a long time for them to regenerate that energy. And I really want to be attacking soon, because he's taking a 5th base, which is a gold. 4th base saturated, yeah, it's getting out of control, the income of this guy now. Trying to spread creep, I guess. Connecting the 3rd and 4th bases is helpful though. Good defensively creep. My opponent not spreading creep much either. Attacking into a spore. No, and the I'm instantly throwing down those fungals. This is a terrible, terrible engagement for him here. Pinned all of his Musalisks in place. That's no. I don't know why he's really attacking into this. He really wants to be playing in his counter-attacking style, waiting for me to move out, and then moving in and dealing some damage because My army's just far stronger than his at the moment, especially considering he's throwing away so many units. Goodness. 10 drones working here, no gas. Probably could be throwing those down, but my army a lot more gas mineral intensive than his. Trying to find some weak spots, trying to knock off some tech structures is a good idea. And I actually pulled my army back so that he could go for this counter attack, which is really nice. It took ages for him to kill a queen, but he did manage to kill a queen. It's taking so long. It's taking so long to kill units. It took us so long to kill that Hydralisk. He's not getting anything done. I don't think he killed any drones there either. Unfortunately for him. The plays are right, but the upgrades aren't there. It's not enough. This game would look so much differently with our upgrades. Nice, another counter attack coming as I go for this push out. This is how we should be playing the whole time. Moving the Zerglings in while I'm not there. Instead of moving all of the Zerglings and Muslisk into my third while I have spores and all of my army there. He's learning from his mistakes, but it's a bit too late. My army value has just gotten out of control at this point. Few fungal growths. Doing absurd damage. Absurd damage indeed. And that's still the end of the game. So I hope you enjoyed that. It looked like I was like down and out several times, especially these little skirmishes around here when I only had about 4 or 5 Hydralisks left in the entire game. A bit dangerous, a bit of a tense game. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you later. Goodbye.